how to produce as good as possible at home if you have basically nothing.
In my mind they'll stay.
Hey my friends, and welcome to today's episode. It's Saturday, stuck at home, quarantine time. I'm not heading over to the studio because I promised my girlfriend to do something fun with her almost the entire day. Now I got maybe 1 or 2 hours here in the closet to actually try and produce some music. I got a new top line that sounds actually pretty dope. Let me play it to you. That's taking quite long. Logic needs to scan new audio units. I also used the quarantine time to update all of my plugins. So it needs to rescan them really quick. The song is called You Get To Me. At the moment, I got the top line. Let me play it to you really quick.
To me, oh, I can't get you off my brain, you get to me. I feel you coursing through my veins, it's plain to see.
Lovely vocals, I absolutely love them. More in a clubby direction, 120 BPM. My first full club song in a long while. Really looking forward to it. I still don't know which direction to take it, but we'll get somewhere. I'll play it to you later once I got like a couple of tracks together and actually build an instrumental around the vocals. But today's video is actually about how to produce as good as possible at home if you have basically nothing. I started out this way in my bedroom with just a computer, very shitty old one, very slow. I didn't even have speakers, I just had headphones from DJing that weren't meant for mixing. But that's actually not a problem, because you first need to learn the DAW, and I think every single music producer out there basically starts like that. Even the biggest DJs that you admire, you love their music, their skills and everything, every single one, almost every single one, started out with a very, very basic setup, just downloading a DAW, just getting started, and just like creating music from scratch. And then you just work your way up. I saved a bit of money for speakers, then I had like a separate room, then I acoustically treated it, then I moved to a bigger studio, and now 2-3 years later, I'm redesigning the studio upstairs, which will be really, really epic. If you're interested, the building process, a couple of videos linked down below in the description. Still on it. Probably like continuing on Monday. But yeah, today is about like tips and tricks whenever you're working at home. Obviously, you will need headphones or speakers. I personally would recommend speakers if you can, if it doesn't bother anyone that you're playing pretty loud music. Although while mixing, you shouldn't turn it up all the way, but it's still annoying to most people around you, especially if you listen to a loop 24/7. So headphones, usually what most people start with. I got here open headphones. These are made for mixing. Please be careful, because a lot of beginners buy studio headphones, and studio headphones are actually very isolating and made for singers in a vocal booth to sing or to wear while recording a guitar. You need mixing headphones. And if they're open, yes, everyone around you will be able to hear what you're doing, but they will be way more transparent, more accurate, and your ear doesn't fatigue as fast. The rest is then your computer, all of the plugins. Get as many as you can get your hands on. If you can, speakers, obviously. If you have the money, go for 7-8 inch woofers so they go low enough so that you can actually hear, especially the critical low end, and mix it. Get near field monitors, nothing else. Get them close to your ears, like 1/2 meter distance, so that the room doesn't color it as much. So these are my recommendations. If you can, choose a room that doesn't have a lot of reverb in it already. Here, the closet is actually pretty alright. I mean, a couple of months ago, I had my speakers in here because I couldn't go to the studio due to the virus lockdown shit. And if there is one thing I can just highly recommend is A and B, listening to other people's songs, and while mixing, while selecting samples, always like every half an hour, switch to another song you like to reset your ears. Make sure that song is actually a good song. Don't reference to a bad song. That won't get you anywhere. And also use an analyzer. Span is my choice, as you know, so you can actually see what's going on. So you're not getting tricked that much. And use Span to listen to other people's songs, drag them into your DAW, and learn to see how the graph looks like for certain styles of music or the style you're going for, and adapt that. I don't like to recommend that, but at the beginning that's the best you can do, especially if you don't have the room, if you don't have the studio. Just copy the frequency response. Start with a kick in your song. Let me actually show you that. I'll take one of my own songs due to copyright reasons. I will take Secrets as the reference song. And the new one, You Get To Me, I will adapt it to it. Let me run you through the project really quick so that you have an overview. I got one folder here with all of the vocals, a couple of them layered, harmonies, doubles, all that kind of stuff.
To me, oh, I can't get you off my brain, you get to me.
And then I already got a kick. Basic, clap. Hi-hat, drum loop. Bass line. It's not the greatest sound, but that's not what today's video is about. Not about sound designing. It's just about like getting that balance as a beginner in a room that isn't a studio. And now you can like open up Sine. Check in the analyzer the song that you use as a reference. Actually, the fullest part of the song is at the very end. Ooh, my computer doesn't like that. Screen recording, audio recording, and Logic on. So excuse the noise. So you can see an analyzer where the kick is at 50 Hertz. The kick of the new song is also at 50 Hertz. And you can kind of copy the balance of the song between kick and bass, which is the most important to get right. So let me actually open up the song again a little. And that's like where the bass frequency is already. And you can see that the kick is at a certain volume and the bass is like slightly up. And we can copy that in that new song. So I just basically play the kick, the bass. Can now remember where the kick sits at. Has its peak right here. And now the bass. So just by looking at it, I know that the bass is too loud. It's just like popping out too much of frequencies. So I can lower the bass. And it will sound a little more and closer to a balanced mix and closer to your reference. For kick and bass, I can highly recommend it. It might be like cheating or not real producing. But again, if you're a beginner, you don't have a clue, if you're sitting in a room where you can't actually hear what you're doing. Wait a second, like this fan situation is so annoying. Better, a lot better. Wow, that's so loud. With the analyzer, you can like just double check with other songs, like copy the bass and kick relation, the ratio between the two. And also like by hitting command, you can isolate frequencies, swipe through, and this way be a little bit sneaky. And I know that a lot of even like huge producers that have to produce on the go, they use this technique. They're sitting on an airplane with headphones and they have their kick samples and everything ready, but getting the kick bass balance, they use an analyzer to actually nail it, because some headphones, they just don't go that low in frequency. And with headphones, you can like feel the low bass that you would feel in a studio with proper speakers. So it's really hard to judge. So a lot of people actually use this technique. And you can go into someone else's song and like just like look at the analyzer in the intro where you can see the kick usually on its own, and then skip to a part where the bass is added. And then you can see the frequencies of the bass popping up, and you can see by how much they're louder or quieter. So that would be my advice whenever you're like starting out as a beginner. And once you know the DAW, once you know a little bit of sound designing and you get to the mixing stage, use the analyzer to your advantage. You could also use the Magic Cue, you can also use Biisotope tonal balance. Basically the same thing, but like just looking at kick and bass from other songs, learn from that, adapt that into your song, usually works pretty well. And there's actually nothing more to add. Like, get your headphones, get, again, mixing headphones if you can, get speakers, even better, but please just the near field ones if you're working at home and the room isn't acoustically treated. Work your way up, make good music, try to release it on labels, try to get some gigs, make money, and then advance. It took me 10 years to get to a point where I have a nice, real big studio and I'm really happy and I can make this full time. But I really started like right here with like nothing, just a laptop and headphones and speakers. So let me know what you're currently producing on. Are you still a home producer, bedroom producer? Do you have a small studio, or are you actually working in a huge studio with like all of that good outboard gear? Speaking of outboard gear, there's a new delivery coming tomorrow or the day after tomorrow with like, I ordered some gear. You'll see.